back, and you're on Caribbean Country 93.5, and I want to thank Gary Malloy from the Department of Labor, Commissioner, and again his, what I call the SWAT team over there, which we uplink to. We certainly gave you what I would say the unabridged version with reference to how you apply for these benefits. And as he indicated, they expect close to 20,000 people, Virgin Islanders, applying for these benefits. It's unheard of. If we have a population of, let's say, 100,000, that's 20%, and we'll find out statistically where we're going. Now, we got, again, Ricky Evangelista here from...
Good morning to the listening audience of Senator Holland Redfield.
Now, we've got this set up right now. We're not quite 6 feet, but almost. But if you sat in the corner there...
I can do that.
Back, without the microphone, then it would be very... In any event, I mean, you're fine. What we can do, if we can take this down now, would be appreciated, because I don't think we need this as an extra prop. All right, let me ask you, since our last visit, obviously you've been very busy, and I'd like to get kind of your overview on your successes or your challenges regarding the department. The responsibilities under your jurisdiction are immense, so go right ahead, sir.
Of course, Senator Redfield, and if you would like me to articulate the way you do, I can also do that. But we can put the gas on the metal to the pedal and we can get moving. First of all, good morning, Team DLCA, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. For those of you who are unaware, currently St. Croix is now working remotely. The staff is working remotely, and we're working on St. Thomas and St. John to work remotely beginning next week. The prelude to this is something we've been discussing to protect not only the staff but also our customers. But unfortunately, air conditioner units went down after the WAPA power outage last week, so it's an inferno inside the office. So we expedited the St. Croix relocation, and we're working on St. Thomas and St. John. But I want the audience to know that we are still processing licenses, although the governor has extended the deadline for those licenses that have expired since COVID-19. We are also accepting payment by credit card, so please feel free to make that payment if you've already budgeted that in your allotment. I also like to welcome Ms. Kawanda Daniels, the right-hand, left-hand of the Department of License and Consumer Affairs, to Mr. Evangelista. She's here in the studio, and she's going to assist with answering questions because she's been fielding a number of the inquiries that have not only been going into the hotline, but also directly to the Office of the Commissioner. So you let me know where you want to travel to today, and I'll try to take you to that destination safely.
Well, what I would like to discuss with you, you were, again, leaning on the consumer to be proactive. Talk to me a little bit about the consumer and their response to your pleas with reference to trying to get some comparable pricing. And we're talking specifically on the virus-related products.
Sure, and I'm also going to touch on what the customers are really anxious about are all the other products. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs, in collaboration with VIA, set up two hotlines for you to call. It is 771-SCAM, 771-7226, or 727-SCAM, 727-7226, or via email consumerawareness@dlca.vi.gov. Where we need your assistance is when you think an item is priced out of the limit, we need you to not only take a photo of the product you purchased, but the packaging in which it was contained, a copy of the receipt, and we need information on the name of the store and address and phone number if possible. The reason why we need this much detailed information is just like the Department of Labor nationally, whose persons would normally go into a store to get data for the Consumer Price Index that's issued monthly, we have also limited the access of our staff to public places wherein we can actually limit them from going into the public. So, with the information that you provide to us, if you provide us with all that information, we can then communicate with the store via email or telephone, or in some cases, some stores still utilize the fax machine. We are serious about what we're doing. In many states, the Attorney General's office is charged with ensuring price gouging doesn't occur. Here in the Virgin Islands, it's DLCA. But I'm here to assure the community that each and every complaint we investigate. please, Senator Redfield, I know you're a staunch supporter of social media. For those of you who are reporting publicly on social media via Facebook or Instagram, I need you to document directly with DLCA.
Sure.
And we need all the information so that we can address it.
Sure. Become proactive. Again, sitting there and discussing it amongst ourselves is really not getting to the solution.
Correct.
And the solution is you folks looking into it. But let me broaden the question. I think
Sure.
you touched on it. Again, your authority has to do with, again, virus-related.
Yes.
But what is happening is that the supermarkets in other areas are really starting to go up on all their prices.
Correct.
So if they were controlled, again, with virus stuff, they can always make up the difference on other products that have nothing to do with this.
Correct.
How are you dealing with them? And can't the governor broaden this authority that you have, which would be a nightmare for you?
Of course.
To deal
Well,
with the consumer product.
you know, and that's a very good question, Senator Redfield. It's a topic that was raised by Senator Alicia Barnes when I was on her radio show this
Correct.
past weekend.
Sure.
You know, nationally, many states have not instituted a price freeze on items outside of items that would prevent the spread or control COVID-19, simply because this is a pandemic.
Correct.
And internationally as well as nationally, the concept of supply and demand has come into place. Many persons are now choosing to stay at home, which means there's more cooking going on at home,
Right.
which means people are purchasing products quicker than ever before.
Sure.
Perfect example, eggs. The hens cannot lay eggs quick enough. The farmers cannot import chickens and tell them start laying eggs.
Right.
Eggs have tripled in price in the past 3 weeks nationally,
Right.
which means the price is passed on to us here locally. What I'm sharing with you is an idea that Senator Barnes came up with, and we're actually acting on it right now, is
Good.
we are going to go to each grocery retailer, the major ones,
Sure.
and have a conversation with them. The staple items that people normally consume, bread, butter, milk, eggs. We understand the increase in price, but perhaps they can pass that increase off onto other items.
Yes.
So that we can assist the consumers who, A, the senior citizens are on a fixed income
Now you're-
with the check they receive. The retirees on a fixed income with their GRS.
Yes.
The government employees on a fixed income. Everyone is on a fixed income except anyone who's actually engaged in a robust business at this point in time.
Right.
So stores, the major box stores in the States, they've actually started to take a loss on certain staples. And I'm not promoting that for our retailers locally. If they can actually accommodate the consumers in that fashion, that would be great. However, we're going to have an honest conversation because we too believe that these retailers are citizens of the United
Right.
States Virgin Islands, residents rather, citizens of the United States of America. And we would like them to assist all the consumers to go through this COVID-19 without anxiety over just the basic staple items, the bread, the milk, the eggs.
Well, you're on a very interesting challenge because in one respect, obviously, that demand is not just in the Virgin Islands, it's all over. But
Yes.
again, asking them to distribute this equitably
Correct.
amongst other items that may not be that important to our population would be critical.
Correct. And, you know,
So
I
think
spoke-
you're really...
Yeah, you know, and I spoke
You're
about
onto
the hens not laying enough eggs.
Well, you
I
can
mean,
issue an
this-
executive order. The governor could require
course.
the hens to lay more eggs.
We can do that?
All right.
Okay, I'll contact Governor Bryan, see what
Having a
happens.
press conference today.
All right. The other thing that I want the community to understand is in addition to supply and demand, the farmers, the employees of the farmers, the people who pick the fruits off of the
Sure.
items, you know,
Sure.
they're actually on stay-at-home order. So there's less people actually working the farms.
picking, yeah.
The meat packing plants, the chicken, the places that the Tysons of the nation, you know, their folks have to be extra careful. They can't work as quickly as possible because of COVID-19 and what occurs
Sure.
inside factories. So I want your community to rest assured that the Department of License and Consumer Affairs is aware of the anxiety that the increase in prices is causing you, and that we are going to work with the major grocery retailers to ensure that the increase in price is not so drastic as to cause more shock, and then we have other issues other than COVID-19 related issues.
All right, let me flip the page a little bit.
course.
And we'll go back wherever you want to go. But let's talk about the fuel pricing again.
Let's go.
You know, I keep looking at areas where more gas stations are going up. I mean, this is really totally out of control in any event, and we don't see that response like you would like to see a little bit, but not a whole lot. Talk to me a little bit about the decrease that we've seen just recently. Again, we've had 2 decreases, and are they responding and going down accordingly?
Sure. So the great news is DLC is actually working on the issue. I'm going to share with you what we've done thus far and where we're going. The rack rate sold by Gulf Oil, the Gulf Oil rack rate, they actually run the rack, they release it from Lime Tree. It actually increased for this coming week.
Okay.
Now it increased by 8 cents, so it's still under $1 or close to $1 to the wholesaler, who then sells it to the retailer, or sometimes the retailer purchases it directly from the wholesaler. One of the things that I want to share with the public is we've actually have gathered more information than ever before, meaning the information from the wholesaler, which tells us when the retailer purchased the fuel and how many gallons.
Fantastic.
We are working on St. Thomas and St. John. We actually have some wholesalers that are actually coming through and providing us the information. For those who have not, we're actually following up on enforcing the subpoena, which they failed to respond to. But what is going to happen, community, and I hope you're listening, is we are now going to sit down with each retailer. They are going to share with us their costs, their overhead costs. And at that point, we are going to then decide whether or not their profit margin is too great or it's in line with what should actually be permitted.
You're talking about the spread, and again,
there you go.
Based on
break it down.
Break it down, and again, I think you will find, and again, the spread. Talking about the price, excluding the tax. My God, I mean, and again, what the argument always is. Well, we have only so much market, so artificially, you're creating a subsidy that is not warranted. That we're supposed to have competition with the more gas stations.
That's correct. You know, and for the retailers who are listening, the rumors that have been abound as to why the prices are so inflated, I want the retailers to know, check your facts, check your paperwork, because DLCA is on to you. There are allegations of what allegedly is happening and why it's happening. I want the public to know that DLCA is keenly aware. We have heard the rumors, and we're out to either affirm or disaffirm the rumors. So any funny business that is occurring out there, retailers, beware. DLCA is coming for you.
Well, not only that, you have the authority to give it to the Attorney General. And again, this issue of gouging, whatever way it is, if you take a look at that, they're going to take a look at these things, and they are going to apply some therapy to whoever needs the therapy. This industry is totally out of control.
It is out of control, Senator Redfield. And, you know
more than anything.
Well,
as
actually,
you look at this, your instincts as an individual are right on. And, you know, it's how you can apply the muscle.
Right. And one of the things I want to share with you is you were probably still in the Senate. This issue predates me. It may even predate you. I've been doing the research in our DLCA files as far back as the 1980s, late 1990s.
Well, that was my issue, 1984, when I went there. Gas and
checking the issue.
Absolutely.
And for whatever reason, the investigation stalled. I'm here to let you know that while I live and breathe, and I'm in this position and until taken out by the governor, we are going to continue our investigation, because it's only fair to the consumers that the retailers charge a fair price. Now, as I've told you before, I'm the conservative Democrat, you're the liberal Republican. Nobody goes into business to give it away. However, gouging the eyes of persons that you see on a daily basis in the grocery or in the post office or on the street, and smiling with them knowing that you're making $2 a gallon, when in fact that is such an exorbitant profit, and you can smile at that person and say good morning or good afternoon, I'm not going to tolerate that, and neither is this administration.
Well, let me tell you what happened back then. You remember Mr. Trampton, we were talking about budget gas. I had convinced him again to break with the rest of the gas stations, and again, for the sake of the people, and he did. And then they had a vigorous competition, and of course he eventually passed away. But then as you were looking at it, we were putting in the newspapers a gas pump with a pitchfork and one with a halo.
And rightfully so, Senator Redfield. You know, and thank God on the island of St. Croix, there are some retailers who are actually using their conscience and doing the right thing,
Yes.
although I think they can do a little more. And until that particular station does what they do, the others don't follow.
Well, they're only 3 cents down. The one that's the lowest, I believe, is 3 cents under the rest
Correct.
of them. That's nothing.
But that person led the charge.
Yes.
Nobody moved until that person
Well,
started.
and can you imagine the calls that person has gotten?
And-
you look at, if you just follow the telephones, if you can trace these with reference to the use of their cell phones, I guarantee you they're talking to each other. And again, I'm going to do my very best when you find out exactly what's going on to give free publicity what deadbeats they are.
No, and you know, it's one of those things where I know it's probably not the proper thing to do as a government official, but we literally, as it relates to these retailers of fuel, I mean, we need to come up with a wall of shame.
Absolutely. Good
You know,
idea.
the fact that you're gouging the consumers on a daily basis.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine in 4 minutes somebody profits $30? I mean, that's unconscionable.
Well, you know, you take a look at some of this stuff that's going on, and you're dealing, again, in your function with folks that are exerting greed. We're not only talking about wholesalers, retailers, wholesalers, and all the way up down the line of the spectrum of the authority under your jurisdiction. I mean, it's really disappointing.
It's unfortunate.
It's
But,
disappointing.
you know, I anticipate a better day. Unfortunately, things take time. And as they say, time longer than twine. And I got a big ball of rope that we're going to try to get this thing going. So,
All right, let me ask you, if you were to ask the legislature for increased authority also dealing with an economy like we have in the United States with reference to free markets, is there anything, obviously price controls would not work, but would a issue of spread control be able to be implied or being able to, other than stimulating with embarrassing them, is there any way we could deal with the spread of some of these products that they're working on, whether it's food or gas?
perhaps that's something the legislature should consider. However, you know, I believe in the free market.
Yes.
Like I said, people go into business to make money. I think until and unless we actually get into the conscience of these persons and let them realize that we are going to publish what they're doing.
Right.
It's going to be,
So
Freedom of Information Act.
Then how do you deal with greed again? And
Senator Redfield?
everybody wants to make a profit, but greed is to the point where it's just outlandish.
You want us to go to the legislature? Let's go there.
Absolutely. I'll be the first one to testify for you.
Excellent. So we need to enhance the manpower,
Right.
the woman power of the Bureau of Internal Revenue.
Sure.
We need to get a task force within the BIR to start doing lifestyle audits.
Right.
When we
find
start
out
doing
what they're
lifestyle
doing.
audits,
Well, look at what
you know, if you're claiming that you're making $10,000 a year,
Right.
but you're living in a home that's worth $2.5 million a year,
Sure.
and you constructed this home in a year and a half, it's not rocket science.
Right.
We just don't have the manpower. When we start crumbling the foundation of those
Well,
castles,
sure.
for lack of better words, those homes, that's the only way it's going to be fair.
Well, and they
you and I get a W-2 or a 1099, and we
Absolutely.
pay everything.
Absolutely.
These businesses who are gorging, not only they're gorging us, they're also gorging the very general fund that belongs to the government of the Virgin Islands that should be providing the
the
wonderful
services.
roads, the great parks, the services. And we just need to go there. Nobody wants to say it,
Well,
but I'm going to say it.
You and I talked about the underground economy here again. And
That's what
I
you
have
called
mentioned it. Well, whatever it is.
I call it gangsters.
But gangsters. In any event, you know very well right now, if you want a contractor that is not working for a large company right now, again, they want to be paid cash all the time. And you know where the 1099 goes when you give it to them. It ends up going into the garbage. And
Correct.
you're right back to a capacity at the IRB to keep ahead of this as well, because you have such a delinquent public that's involved in this. It's
Correct.
just staggering. And they're the biggest complainers.
Exactly. And, you know, squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I'm telling you, Senator Redfield,
Right.
if we can get the legislature to firm up and get them serious about this particular issue, literally, and enhance Bureau of Internal Revenue,
Well, we all have a role.
direct them
Sure.
to start doing lifestyle audits, but give them the staff to do it. Just in other words, just don't say it. Give
Right.
them the supplies, the equipment, the manpower they need, the resources. Senator Redfield, trust me, we're going to start bearing fruit, and the general public will start seeing better schools, better roads,
Right.
better hospitals, because the income that is not coming in
Right.
will now start coming in, and or these people will disappear and go gouge another community.
Sure.
But at least we will not be being gouged here locally.
Right.
Wherein we're spending our money, but we're not seeing it on the return from the business now turning their profit and tax on that profit back into our economy.
Right. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back in a minute. You're on Caribbean Country 93. All right, a pleasant good afternoon once again, and the drill is that you can catch us. We are streaming live on Facebook, Caribbean Country 93.5, and we're on the Community Access Channel. And I'm here with Ricky Evangelista, who again is the Commissioner of DLCA. Ricky, we have a very special guest here today, Miss Daniels, and I'm also supposed to be getting a call coming in. And caller, I guess let's go to the caller first. A pleasant good morning, sir. Clarence?
Good morning.
Talk to me.
Good morning today. How you doing, my friend? Mr. Evangelista, how you doing, young fellow?
Well, you got to put your headset on, Ricky. Come on, you can't be gee whiz. Come on, man. All right, come on, let's go. He's gonna listen to you now. Go right ahead.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Evangelista.
Good morning, sir.
Hopefully, I can hear from you shortly when you have a chance.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, look, I'm glad you're covering the issue with the gas station situation. It's timely. And I'm glad that you're sounding like you're very forceful at this point. And I think the time is right. The profit margin that was set right after the hurricane is still in place. So I don't see why you even need to have a discussion with them guys. There's nothing to talk about. It's time for action.
Correct. So one of the things, as you may know, I'm actually an attorney. So many times when you go act like a bulldog with people, they try to tie you up in court. This is an issue that is not only sensitive, but it's timely. And I would rather get results than get caught up in court. A former Commissioner Rutnick got caught up in court maybe about 15 years ago, and it went nowhere. With Attorney Carrington, the former commissioner of DLCA, he actually had conversations with the retailers after the hurricanes, and that's how the gas prices were able to stabilize. Unfortunately, they stabilized and should have gone down since then. So that is the route that DLCA is going to pursue since it worked. I know everybody wanted, be the bulldog and Lashan and hold him, but, when they start lawyering up and we start lawyering up, in the end, the community loses, and the community has no time to wait for this to work its way through a court system. So hopefully the parties will actually be able to come to some understanding, and the consumers can get relief quicker than that.
So in your opinion, is regulatory authority a good thing to have in place?
Of course.
Okay, and I'm going to leave on this note.
Of course.
Please, Holland Redfield and whoever's listening, WAPA needs the PSC to regulate them. Regulation is essential for any kind of society. Any kind of society, anywhere, it's time for the PSC to have the exact same authority that you currently have on the gas station and the consumer affairs of the Virgin Islands. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
He's talking about operationally, and that was is specifically what the legislation speaks for. It was a test that I went through when I was chairman of the PSC, and we were talking about the sale of the South Shore plant. I tried to block that as chairman, and I lost my case in the federal courts. because they said the authority did not have jurisdiction, again, on operations, only on rates. Our argument was, unless we have some take on operations, the rates are going to go up, and we'll have no choice but to increase the rates. But his observations are very correct in both areas, and of course in your area it is really, really challenging, and again, you're going to have to dig into the legislature, and of course there are some conflicts I can see that would be created in the legislature. However, I won't go over that.
Of course. And, Senator Redfield's one thing I just learned, and, I learn every day. I didn't know that you were at one point the chairman of the PSC.
Yeah, I was chairman.
What haven't you done in the Virgin Islands?
Well, the things that I haven't done, I don't talk about.
Okay,
in any
thank
event, the authority that I did have, and I'm in the history books in many of these cases where we were pushing the envelope like you are. And when you do that, your observation is correct. You're a lawyer. You don't want to get hung up in court cases. You want to, by influence, one way or another, well, we call it the Hall of Shame, whatever it is. I mean, when you're talking about a spread like this, relief to the public is at least 75 cents or more.
Yeah,
okay?
and Senator Redfield,
a buck and a quarter is a reasonable spread.
And when the consumers are clamoring, they need to see relief like yesterday.
Right.
And if we can get this accomplished in collaboration with the retailers, the consumers will get that instant relief that they're seeking.
Sure.
And it's just one of the things that we're working on at the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs. But I'd like Ms. Daniels, who is sitting next to me, to share with the listening audience what she expects to receive in terms of information when people are reporting items, whether it's price gouging or persons are checking into Airbnbs.
Sure.
She's getting the emails. She's getting the phone calls. If she can just shed some light to the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Daniels, a pleasant good afternoon, and we're very honored that you're here, and again, at least a little counterbalance to the commissioner, okay?
Okay. Well, good morning, listening audience. Almost every day we get complaints through the consumer awareness hotline, the phones. So DLCA will need photos. We have a lot of complaints through our Facebook page.
Right.
And we can't just make complaints. We need photos. We need some kind of proof. So if you have receipts, if you have pictures, just email it to us. You can use the consumer awareness at dlca.vi.gov. You can also email or make official complaint through our online website, which is www.dlca.vi.gov.
Well, let me ask you then, capacity-wise, the air conditioning went out over there. We're talking about mechanically. Some people obviously are working from home with their computer, but capacity with the amount of complaints, you certainly can't sit there every single day and deal with this and actually enforce. Am I correct? And Commissioner, you can jump in on your challenges.
Well,
let Ms. Daniels respond.
All right, go fine.
We have challenges, but I try to answer anything that comes through the consumer awareness hotline or email address, rather. I try to answer each one of them individually.
And we also have a consumer affairs team.
Yes, okay.
That has a director and he has team members. And as I indicated, we're not dispatching persons onto the street anymore. So with the evidence that we receive, we then issue a subpoena to that respective store to review their invoices. And of course, for you retailers who think you can fabricate invoices, when in fact we can go into the store, if you've provided us with a false invoice, we will then go straight to the Department of Justice and address that situation. So facts are facts, and let's just deal with the facts.
Wow.
And if I can share with you, so there was an incident in which I reported on your other sister station that someone contacted us and said there was a KN95 mask for a certain price.
Yeah.
KN95 mask is actually produced in China, but for the current COVID-19 pandemic, the CDC has permitted the KN95 mask to be used in the United States of America. They're selling nationally online for about $2.99 to $3.99 per mask. Someone locally was selling it for $5.99. So it sounds $5.99 sounds like it's a lot of money, but after you factor in the shipping and the cost, perhaps it may be reasonable. Now, we just received a complaint yesterday about a retailer in St. Thomas who's selling a mask for $12.99. So the way we check that is we need to get a photo of the packaging.
Sure.
We get the invoice. If that person bought that mask for $1 and they're selling it for $12.99, obviously we have a problem. But if they bought it for $10.99, the spread, you can do the math.
Sure.
So it's just about fairness and ensuring that the retailer is not making a substantial markup on the product.
Talking about spread again.
Talking about spread. If you're ready to talk about spread, we can go to spread. I have to thank the consumer on the island of St. Croix that reported an alleged fake antibacterial aerosol that was found on the island of St. Croix. This was last week, Wednesday.
Sure.
We immediately went and identified the distributor, the manufacturer out of Puerto Rico, and we were able to get the stores on the island of St. Croix to voluntarily return the item, to actually turn over the items to DLCA to put in safekeeping as evidence as we do the investigation.
Wow.
It's a company out of Puerto Rico that used a butane fuel can,
good God,
wrapped the can in a label that says antibacterial spray, and proceeded to put the allegedly antibacterial spray in that can. The case is under investigation, but for any of you consumers
dangerous.
Listening to this broadcast, if you purchase the product, kindly refrain from using it and put it somewhere in safekeeping. We are currently not collecting those items, and pending investigation, we'll actually tell you what to do with the item. So people, manufacturers, any and everyone, they're taking advantage of COVID-19 just like any other major issue.
Right.
Scams. Senator Redfield received a text or an email from a credit card company alleging that his debit card is...
Well, I've been exhausted, saying that my credit has been exhausted. I've got it here.
I told you stop shopping, Senator Redfield.
Well, listen, look at it.
It may tell you stay at home, so you're shopping?
But this is... Let me see if I can play this.
Please.
Ricky. I'm going to try my very best to see if we can do this and make this work. Everybody be a little patient out there for the... All right, here we go.
Thank you. This is PNC Bank. A notification was sent to inform that due to a security concern, your debit card has been suspended. The issue was addressed and your card is now ready for reactivation. To continue, please press 1 now.
All right, let's press 1, folks.
Redfield, will you use your Social Security?
16-digit card number.
Say now they're asking for my card number, and I'm not going to put it in. And then later on in this, they're going to ask for my Social Security number. So again, this is another one I'll give to you, and it's not a very nice experience. There are so many out there that are taking, again, advantage. Many, and you have mentioned it, it is the elderly that are really vulnerable to these scare calls. So in any event, that's another one. And you said you were dealing with one. We talked about
the Social Security scam, yes.
Yeah,
and so if you encounter something such as Senator Redfield has via email or a direct phone call to you, report it to Department of Licensed and Consumer Affairs. Use our email. Use the hotlines that were established after COVID-19 became a pandemic, and report it to us. We are here to assist you. As it relates to robocalls and scam calls, the Federal Trade Commission is who we actually refer these calls to, as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office. People will continue to take advantage of folks if you allow them to. So if
they will up the ante.
Of course.
You can actually block this call, but they'll up the ante and say you didn't get a hold of us, and they will even threaten you even more, and you get scared, and you will capitulate and give them information you should not be giving them. Let's take another break. We'll be back in a minute. You're on Caribbean Country. All right, and we are back again. Holland still has the chill pills, and what we're trying to do here is get you proactive out there. Yes, you have an aggressive Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs, but you yourselves have got a responsibility, again, to reveal what you think is taking place, document what you're doing there, and again, shop around when you see, and obviously, a trend in a particular store. Go somewhere else. Don't sit there and reward them with the fact that they're overpricing their items. Some other thoughts on your part, sir, or Ms. Daniels?
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, please take heed of the governor's order to stay home.
Okay.
Barbers, beauticians, persons who are considered non-essential, please, even by appointment only, do not open for your customers. Your customer can actually walk into your shop behind closed doors without anyone seeing and infect you. You can then in turn infect your family.
Sure.
You may infect that customer who then goes home to his or her family and infects his family. This is a serious matter.
Right.
Thank God we have been fortunate. There's only been one reported death due to COVID-19, and let's keep it that way. Likewise, the governor has told people stay off the beaches. The beaches, ladies and gentlemen, was not and is not the problem. The problem is that there were persons who disregarded the directive to practice social distancing.
Sure.
The only thing proven, Senator Redfield, as you know, if you follow the media, is social distancing and staying at home is what is allowing the flattening of the COVID-19.
Sure.
So, restaurants who have bars are still permitted to serve takeout drinks with food orders that are called in. With covers, please. Beer bottles, leave the covers on. We do not want persons drinking outside the establishment while they're waiting for the food.
Sure.
Preferably, wait in your car. This is a social distancing public health order to save the lives of our community. The government understands what hardships businesses are suffering due to the fact that they are not considered essential. That is why, listening audience, take advantage of what the federal government has offered to us through the SBA programs,
Sure.
especially the one where it allows you to borrow the money to meet payroll, rent, and it's actually going to be a loan that is going to be canceled at a later point. Now, here's where the ironic thing comes in, Senator Redfield. We spoke about businesses doing the right things, reporting the correct amount of taxes. For you businesses out there who the consumers believe you're a legitimate business, but in fact, you don't have a business license, you probably don't pay taxes, I personally don't want to hear from you crying because you haven't done the right thing the first time.
Correct.
So therefore, you're ineligible for this business loan. But for you law-abiding citizens, please, we hear you, but this is a stay-at-home public safety request. It's actually an order.
Sure.
The National Guard is out patrolling the beaches. There's no reason for you to challenge something that is actually for your own safety and benefit and for the community, because you may not care,
Right.
but you may be carrying and taking it to someone else who's actually trying to protect themselves, and because you chose to be careless, you are now infected persons who are trying to do the right thing.
Well, let me just say, and sweet revenge, going back to one topic as far as paying your taxes and taking a look at what resources or values of their home, their car, or whatever. Remember, what is ironic is sweet revenge. If you didn't file your 2018, you're not eligible. So
Correct.
What is happening is they're getting a run again at the IRB with folks that are doing that. But shame on you, because what you're doing is basically being pushed, kicking and screaming with something you should have been doing anyway. My goodness.
Correct.
Sweet revenge.
But, you know, before you ask me to close, I'd just like to wish a happy Easter, happy Passover, happy break to the United States Virgin Islands, to your listening audience. Please stay safe. Remain home as much as possible. Only leave when necessary. And we shall get through this also.
Right.
We've been suffering through many other major natural disasters. This time we have a pandemic on our hands. And we're resilient people, Senator Redfield. And I thank you for hosting this show and allowing me to come on and to educate the consumers, because as DLCA says, we shall educate before we regulate.
All right, let me also say to the first responders, those that are working in our hospitals in medical care, again, a deep, deep sense of appreciation for you. Again, to the administration, who, again, the rest of the nation should use us as an example. The governor has tempered his approach to this. He ratchets up when he needs to. And again, with many of these issues, you out there are the only ones that can protect us. You are part of the Army to defend us. That means act responsibly. So to each and every one of you, I want to thank each and every one of you, and Ricky and Ms. Daniels, again, thank you for being here. And tomorrow we're going to have the Commissioner of Health on, and then we're going to have the mental health folks again talking to how we can calm our jangled nerves. So God bless each and every one of you. God bless the Virgin Islands. Remember, catch us on the Community Access Channel. Be in the rotation. We, again, are live on Facebook, and it'll be logged in, and it'll be rebroadcast tonight between 6 and 8 on 93.5. Have a pleasant